Tonight, Iran's Navy is gone. Their Air Force is in ruins. Their leaders, most of them, terrorist regime they led, are now dead.
The geopolitical anatomy of the Strait of Hormuz. On the world map, the Strait of Hormuz is just a narrow passage linking the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman. Geopolitically, however, it is the neck of the global economy. At its narrowest point, it is only 34 kilometers wide, with effective shipping lanes just 2 nautical miles in each direction. This makes it one of the most critical choke points on Earth. Roughly 20% to 30% of the world's oil supply passes through this route every day. For the United States, U.S., controlling, or at least securing, this strait has been a national security priority for decades. For Iran, however, it represents a final trump card in its defense strategy. The narrative that the U.S. could easily seize or clear the Strait of Iranian influence is a dangerous oversimplification. In reality, Iran has built an asymmetric defense system that makes the military and economic cost of doing so extraordinarily high. An unshakable natural fortress. The first factor limiting U.S. maneuverability is physical geography. The entire northern coastline of the Strait of Hormuz is under Iranian control. Unlike the relatively flat and open Arab coastlines, Iran's shore is dominated by steep cliffs, hidden coves, and the towering Zagros Mountains behind them. This geography provides Iran with what the military calls the high ground. Iran has constructed what it refers to as missile cities, underground bunkers carved deep into mountainous rock. Inside these facilities, thousands of anti-ship cruise missiles, ASCMs, are stored and can be launched via mobile systems emerging from concealed cave entrances. For U.S. intelligence, targeting these positions is a nightmare. Satellites and drones struggle to detect what lies beneath hundreds of meters of rock. Any airstrike campaign would also have to contend with increasingly sophisticated Iranian air defense systems, such as the Bavar 373 or S-300. Positioned on mountain peaks, giving them far greater detection range than ship-based radar systems at sea level. Asymmetric strategy, Lilliput versus Gulliver. The United States possesses the world's most powerful navy, centered around nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. However, in confined waters like Hormuz, carriers become a strategic burden, massive, expensive, and difficult to maneuver. Iran fully understands this. Instead of building a conventional navy to rival the U.S., it has adopted a swarming tactics doctrine. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy, IRGCN, operates thousands of small, fast attack craft, agile vessels with low radar visibility. In a conflict scenario, Iran would not deploy 1 or 2 large ships. It would launch hundreds of small boats simultaneously from multiple directions. Some would carry torpedoes, others short-range missiles, and some would function as explosive-laden suicide vessels. While the U.S. Navy's Aegis defense system is highly advanced, it has a saturation limit. If 100 targets attack at once at close range, the probability of 1 or 2 penetrating defenses becomes very high. Even a small breach in a destroyer's hull could significantly disrupt U.S. operations in the region. Mine warfare, cheap weapons, global impact. Naval mines are the most lethal component of Iran's strategy. They are the quintessential low-cost, high-impact weapon, cheap to produce, easy to deploy, but extremely difficult and time-consuming to clear. Iran is believed to possess thousands of mines, ranging from World War-era contact mines to modern smart mines triggered by acoustic signatures, water pressure, or magnetic fields. If Iran were to mine the main shipping lanes, global oil trade could halt instantly. Why couldn't the U.S. simply clear them? Mine clearing, mine sweeping operations are inherently slow. Minesweepers must move cautiously through suspected areas and are typically lightly armed. Attempting to clear the strait would make them easy targets for Iranian coastal missile batteries hidden in the mountains. Moreover, absolute certainty is required before tankers can safely return. Even the suspicion of a single remaining mine would prevent insurers from covering tanker operations.
Tehran turned once more to oil as a weapon of war.
The oil weapon, holding the global economy hostage. This is the most powerful non-military reason why the U.S. is reluctant to pursue direct confrontation. In geopolitical terms, this resembles economic, mutual assured destruction. Every escalation in Hormuz immediately drives up global oil prices. In the event of a war and a full closure of the strait, oil prices could surge beyond $150 or even $200 per barrel within days. This would trigger severe inflation in developed economies, including the U.S., leading to intense domestic political pressure due to soaring fuel costs.
Are together. So Metro did waive it, and then about 48 hours before the event, we were like, oh no, the city's not going to. So that was an additional $16,000.
Global financial markets, heavily tied to commodity price stability, could face shocks potentially worse than the 2008 financial crisis. Iran understands U.S. sensitivity to oil prices. It doesn't need to win militarily. It only needs to create enough uncertainty to damage the global economy, prompting international pressure on the U.S. to de-escalate.
همه نیروگاه‌های برق، زیرساخت‌های انرژی و فناوری اطلاعات رژیم صهیونیستی و شرکت‌های مشابه در منطقه که سهامدار آمریکایی دارند به طور کامل تخریب خواهند.
Forward defense, doctrine, regional escalation. If the U.S. attempted to seize the strait through invasion or large-scale airstrikes, Iran would not confine the conflict to the strait. It has developed a broad network of proxy forces, often referred to as the axis of resistance. The moment conflict begins in Hormuz, Hezbollah in Lebanon could launch thousands of rockets toward Israel, a key U.S. ally. Shiite militias in Iraq could attack U.S. bases in Baghdad and Erbil. The Houthis in Yemen could strike Saudi oil infrastructure and block the Bab el-Mandeb Strait in the Red Sea. In other words, attempting to control one narrow waterway could ignite a region-wide conflict. The U.S. would face a costly war of attrition while also needing to maintain focus on other strategic theaters such as the Indo-Pacific, countering China, and Eastern Europe, countering Russia. Technological challenges, limits of detection. Although the U.S. maintains a technological edge, stealth aircraft, advanced systems, Iran has adapted accordingly. It employs low-frequency radar capable of detecting stealth aircraft and has developed strong electronic warfare capabilities. In 2019, Iran demonstrated this capability by shooting down a U.S. Global Hawk surveillance drone flying at high altitude. This incident shocked Pentagon planners, proving that the airspace around the strait is not a permissive environment. Iran has also developed cost-effective suicide drones, such as the Shahed family, capable of striking U.S. naval radar systems from long distances. Conclusion: a superpower's security dilemma. Why is it so difficult for the U.S. to seize the Strait of Hormuz from Iran? The answer is not that the U.S. lacks the ability to defeat Iran militarily in a total war. In theory, the U.S. could devastate Iran's infrastructure with its overwhelming capabilities. However, in modern geopolitics, military victory does not equal strategic success. Iran has created a situation where the cost of securing the strait far exceeds what the U.S. can reasonably bear, financially, politically, and in terms of global economic risk. The Strait of Hormuz remains under Iranian influence because Iran has transformed narrow geography into a highly effective defensive shield. As of 2026, the proliferation of low-cost drones and precision missiles only strengthens this Fortress Hormuz, making it even harder for external powers to penetrate. As a result, the U.S. is compelled to rely more on diplomacy and economic pressure, sanctions, rather than military force, recognizing that the gateway to the world's energy supply is firmly held by a power willing to set it ablaze if pushed too far.